trauma awareness is such an important step in our healing, both for ourselves. It's like, it's not my fault, that I'm hurting. It's just like my parents were traumatized in a traumatic world, and they did the best they could given their resourcing and the education that they had. And for most of us, they traumatized us in certain ways, even though the parents deep down had some care and love. And we live in a world of trauma. And if we can begin to see that hurt people, those people that are hurt themselves hurt other people because they haven't had their deep needs met. They haven't been supported to meet their own needs in a way that doesn't involve violence. And so then the strategies that hurt people use in order to meet their own needs or lash out against the injustice that they felt is to hurt other people. And if we can come to that understanding, then that's where we build compassion, that it's not their fault that they were born into this highly complex world, traumatized world, and it's not my fault or your fault if we are suffering. And that acknowledgement doesn't mean that then we fall into floppiness and just well, it's not my fault and I don't need to do anything and I'm a victim to life. Like that compassion is the real starting point. It's just meeting ourselves. Okay, I'm here. And can I just meet myself where I am? And in so doing, the paradoxical power of compassion is that then we find there's freedom and space to move from where we are. If we acknowledge the pain, if we acknowledge the trauma, then we can move from there. I've done some work with people in recovery, addicts that went to prison for crimes to meet their fix. It's a really powerful moment that I've witnessed when being in these groups with these people, when they meet that pain, that, the trauma that they had in their lives, the pain that they inflicted on others, and just to meet it, like, okay, here the pain is. When we meet our pain with even a semblance of kindness or openness or lightness, if compassion is a word that doesn't work for you, then that is the gateway and an important marking point on the journey towards healing and reconciliation. So it's powerful, and that's why the Buddha and wisdom teachers for thousands of years have been teaching this, because it is really the evolution of human consciousness. Like if we think about the brain, you've got, classically, you talk about the three brains. You've got the lizard brain or the croc brain, then you've got the mammalian brain, the limbic brain, and then you've got the neocortex, which is the biggest in human beings, which is the seat of our ability to reason and to think. And, crocs, they're fight or flight. Like I get my Instagram feed to show me videos of animals and crocodiles doing crazy things. And, crocs are pretty wild. It's just like, just particularly Australia, your nature just, as Australia moved away over 80 million years, some crazy stuff happened there. Crocs are fight or flight, right? So there's a threat, or there's prey, and there's fight or flight. And, we still have that biology within us. If we feel there's a threat, we've been traumatized, we can go into fight or flight. And then our body, through trauma, can internalize that response. And so the evolution of human consciousness maybe is a bit of a cliche way of saying this journey that we take from going from the croc brain to the prefrontal cortex, to the human brain, where we can begin to inquire, to investigate what's here. Okay, so there's an embodied reaction against my parents and the harm that I've felt I've had inflicted on me. And the journey from going to croc to not is to find the space to say, I forgive you. I understand that you as my parents were traumatized as well. And even though you didn't have the skills at all to be able to really show your love to me, I know that there was love there, despite the fact that you hurt me. And so that does take that cognition, that thinking, to be able to bring that painful, traumatic memory that's embodied in the croc brain into healing. And that's why teachings from the Buddha and before and after and around the world, Taoists, Christians, whatever wisdom tradition you want to look at, compassion is really at the heart of it. Because it's hard. It's hard to rewire that programming that has been locked into our nervous system, that fight or flight, wrong or right, pain, not pain, going to forgiveness, spaciousness, lightness, openness. So if you're working with trauma in your own life or with people that you care about, just sending my best wishes to you. And it's important work, and it's challenging work and healing work. And that trauma awareness that we bring into our own lives and into how we relate with the people in our lives will then bring an energy of how then we look at the world and the pain in the world. We reduce our judgment, and we more easily see the world for what it is. We're not angels. We have damaging tendencies, but we also have a lot of beauty in the human spirit, in the human body and mind. And trauma is one of the biggest blockers from us accessing that potential. Something I've always questioned is, even with understanding trauma and being compassionate, how do we still deal with those people whose intentions are to hurt you? Cool, so we'll do one more, and I'm always grateful for your questions before we could go into some practice and share some breath together. How do we deal with those people whose intentions are still trying to hurt you? So one of the most challenging teachings in Taoism, also one of the most powerful teachings in Taoism, is chapter 49, where Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism, the ancient Chinese philosophy, says, the sage, the wise person, treats all those who are good with goodness. And the sage treats all of those who are not good with goodness. Because the core of the sage's being is goodness. The sage treats all those who are kind with kindness, and all those who are not kind with kindness, because the truth of their being is kindness. The sage, the wise person, treats all those who are truthful with truthfulness, and all those who are not truthful with truthfulness, because the core of their being is authenticity, integrity. So that's quite a challenging idea. Am I going to be kind and honest and good to those people who are trying to hurt me, who are manipulating me, who are lying to me? And this is where, compassion, we need to also keep in mind that compassion isn't just saying yes to everything. Oh, yes, please, I'll roll over and, manipulate me just how you'd like to be. I really see the essence of goodness within you. So please take my money, my heart, my time and energy. No, we can still have our boundaries. And the nourishing no. Thank you, but no thank you. The nourishing no is something that really resonates with me. It's like no can be quite a challenging word to express. To express our boundaries is something that takes practice. The nourishing no is actually realizing that the no is a gift. To say, this is who I am, and this is my truth, this is my boundaries, this is my energy, and thank you but no thank you, is actually a gift. Because you'll know the bullies, they'll keep going until you eventually stand up for yourself. Like I went to a new school in sixth form when I was 17, and I was lonely and kind of the nerdy kid because I didn't fit in. And there was one of the rugby jocks. It was kind of like out of a high school musical film from America. Like this new school had the jocks and the nerds and the beautiful girls who hung out with the jocks. And I'm like in the library feeling lonely. And there was one bully who would pick on me and go, just like every time he would come to me, he'd just do this annoying noise. I'd come from a state school and I was kind of like, although the nerdy kid, I was also had the potential to be a bad man. Such a ridiculous thing to say. But eventually he was just annoying me so much that I pinned him up against the wall and I said, if you ever do this again to me, I'll have you. And this is a big rugby guy, biggest guy in the year. And what happened? You know, maybe, did he fight with me? Me, this kind of skinny kid. He never did anything to me again after that. So funny. Just, never again. So sometimes we've got to express our boundaries. And, you know, maybe I wasn't doing the nourishing no of gently picking him up and saying, please, I have a deep need for respect and I wish for you to treat me differently. You know, sometimes we've got to honor the times when the anger does protect us. You know, anger is a protective energy, but that anger can be destructive as well. So ideally, the nourishing no is where we say, thank you, but no thank you. This is me. This isn't working for me, and these are my boundaries. And we can say that with love and compassion, and still, you know, understand that this person's got their own stuff that maybe they're projecting onto you, and you don't need to take that, but you can also build compassion for them that, you know, they've got their own stuff to work out.